Local musicians are backing a fundraising concert tagged Next Gen Mental Health Advocacy. Here to tell us about it is Gabrielle
Magid.
Magid, Gabrielle Magid, founder and CEO of Stronger Than Stigma Incorporated. Welcome, Gabrielle.
Thank you so much, Anne. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're also joined by Daniel Johns and David Johns, who perform as the Johns twins and just so happen to be twins.
Mhm.
Welcome. Thanks for being
Thanks
here.
for having us.
All right. So, Gabrielle, you started this work really in a grassroots fashion, almost kind of through your own experience and then broadening it. What was the need that you saw that you were responding to when you decided to create this group?
So it's wild, but we started in 2013. I was still a student at the University of Florida, and we call it Stronger Than Stigma for a reason. This stigma against reaching out for help was really what was keeping people in those states of anxiety, depression, you name it. And on a college campus in particular, it's like a microcosm for the population at large. So I was seeing it firsthand amongst my classmates. I personally struggle with anxiety and depression and had kind of kept it, to myself, more like a family secret than something that I was going to post about on social media. Um, but in college, when I started really owning my story and sharing, like, this is something that I've dealt with, I found that not only did people have stories to tell me in return, but a lot of times that was their first time sharing as well. So the need was really about creating something to make seeking and talking about mental health cool. Nobody was really plugging that gap for the millennial generation. And now we're seeing, Gen Z found TikTok and whoever comes next. So we've rebranded to saying next gen mental health advocacy because we really want to help people adult.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think a lot of people think of certainly millennials as big on sharing and believe that the stigma that has surrounded mental health for so long had dissipated, that was something that attached to earlier generations and that, younger people, certainly millennials and Gen Z were kind of more comfortable in talking about those things and addressing those things and treating and seeking care for mental illnesses.
So I'm really proud to hear you say that because in 2013, that just wasn't the case. So we actually started completely online because the idea was millennials are, on the internet and you feel safer behind your screen than you do probably, in a room full of people. So could we attract you with a meme that might be, tongue in cheek about depression or, um, an article that you might not find on your own. And so what was wild was we had messages come in from around the world asking like, where do you meet? How do I get involved? And at that point we knew, okay, A, wow, we got to get together in real life. And then also B, there's a market for this. There's a need. The stigma, I'm proud to hear you say now, like, oh, millennials, there's less of a stigma. When I gave my TED talk, I mentioned, our grandparents denied that these issues even existed. Our parents snuck off to therapy. We're busy, growing into our genetics and our environment and saying, like, what the heck? Why can't we talk about therapy and who do you go to and let's trade tips? And so millennials are really the generation that have paved the way. I always think Gen Z is even better at sharing and maybe oversharing. So I think our work is working.
Yeah, and you, began this effort at UF. You initially kind of were proposing the campus, embrace this, and you initially they kind of didn't. Can you explain, like, what changed, how you were able to because now, that has become something that, was really, I think, adopted and endorsed, um, which was a great success, but it
Yes.
wasn't initially like that.
No, it was so funny. I was telling Dave and Daniel in the lobby. Originally, the idea was just a campus-wide campaign. Can we and I joke, it was like fridge magnets. Can we put the information somewhere, where a student could find all of the listing of the resources, the phone numbers or how to reach out and, make it readily available because at UF in particular, it's a beautiful campus and they spent millions of dollars building this beautiful counseling and wellness center, but you needed a bus to get there. Like, the campus is so big,
Mm.
and that to me was also a representation of the stigma. They wanted to give you privacy to go and get this help, talk to a counselor. But at the same time, it meant that it was hidden away. And so students didn't necessarily know that it existed, that it was free and available to them. And it was just waiting for them, to discover upon it. But I was like, what? Skip the discovery phase. Like, just let's send you there, make it easy. And so pitched that idea to the dean. And, the response I got was pretty much join something pre existing and make change from the inside. And that didn't really sit well with me. I did try, didn't make it onto student council at the time, and was just like, you know what? I'm here, but I can go above his head. Like, I can make a nonprofit. I can study and go to seminars and figure out how to really do this, and then declared a nonprofit organizational minor and really used Stronger Than Stigma as my case study for
Which
the
is
rest of my time there.
a really extraordinary, accomplishment too, as such a young person to be, creating that powerful nonprofit. I wanna ask a little bit about the music, Daniel and David, and how your, kind of how you came to being a partner in this upcoming event. It's benefiting Stronger Than Stigma. It's a musical event, but it's also a conversation, an opportunity for people to kind of connect on a deeper level. Is there something Are you just playing the music, or do you bring some, interest, background, shared experience to this event?
Daniel, do you want to take this one, or do you want me to take it?
Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
I would say yes and no. So as far as the cause goes, I mean, our music absolutely does tie into mental health. So that is the yes part. Even our latest single, "Ain't No Use," it's a song about overcoming narratives. Some of the narratives are self-imposed. And sometimes people say negative things to us and we cling on to those, and "Ain't No Use" is about overcoming those things. So yes. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and immediately retract the no. I think it's just a hard yes. I'm talking myself in circles. I'm like, no, yeah. I mean, so we were asked to be a part
That was
of
the
this.
song we were hearing as we came in,
Yes.
right? That's your new single,
Yes.
"Ain't No Use." Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were asked to be a part of this through Dennis Negrin,
Mhm.
and he runs what is it,
Old City Circuit.
Bold City
Mhm.
Circuit, and we have never played Blue Jay Listening Room before, and everything just lined up, and we were just so excited to be a part of it. We looked up Stronger Than Stigma. We are behind the cause 100%. It's truly impressive. So yeah, I mean, everything about this event we are all in on, and we are very passionate about it. We're very excited.
And so how do you plan your, musical, like, element around what is gonna be a very serious conversation, Daniel? I mean, are you, um, going to kind of play and then take a break, or do you sort of hang out while this conversation is
Oh,
happening?
we intend to hang out while the conversation is happening. I think we're going to do a 40-minute set. Also, Jessica Hope is playing.
Yes.
She's a
Right.
fantastic artist. Beautiful voice, wonderful music. Yeah, we're going to do a 40-minute set, and yeah.
Yeah, and also, you might not know this, but you will be part of the conversation.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you're the
Yeah, that's
the
perfectly okay.
panel,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't say so serious necessarily. Like, if anybody's worried, that it might be like a support group or something that makes them cry in their tissues. The point is really to normalize these conversations. So by highlighting local talent, whose stories are so much a part of their musical expression, their artistic expression. We're really highlighting that mental health is part of everything. And yes, we curate what goes on the stage, but we're all about helping people feel the power of knowing they're not alone. So just by being in the audience, you're gonna feel that vibration, like that feeling of like, wow, everybody in this room came for a reason,
Mhm.
Yes.
whether to support y'all or Jessica or Stronger Than Stigma. And that's so cool. And the other thing that's really cool is that it's a team effort between 3 millennial owned businesses in Jacksonville. So we have Kara Murphy of Blue Jay Listening Room, who is amazing and an advocate for artists like you've never seen. And then Dennis as well of Bold City Circuit, whose job is to place bands in living rooms for an intimate experience. So, he's our musical wonder, knows the Johns twins, and
He's got all the connections.
oh my
Yeah.
God, he's amazing. I don't know when he sleeps.
Yeah, no kidding.
And you talk about kind of normalizing the conversation around mental health, and you also advise people, through the information that you put out there about how to have these conversations with and among themselves. So there's not necessarily in a forum like this, but in terms of communicating with friends who may be expressing, an issue, talking about trying to, not try to cure them or try to talk them out of it, that you're really trying to provide a listening ear and allow them an opportunity to express what they're feeling.
100%. I think a lot of people assume that if somebody comes to them with a problem, it's their job to solve it. And our point is nobody has all the solutions. But what we know that we can provide is that listening ear and that active listening of like truly caring about the person that comes to you and saying, I've got your back no matter what you decide to do. As far as how you seek treatment, where you seek treatment, if it's crystals or if it's pharmaceuticals or whatever works for you, we're just huge advocates for professional help.
Sure. And music can also be really helpful for people processing all kinds of emotions, including, any feelings that people are having, whether it's, depression or anxiety. I mean, music is a great resource for people in that way as well.
Agree. Music is a mood altering drug. That's why people, relate to it. And I'm a big believer in melody. I'm a melody guy over lyrics. Look, I'm not taking anything away from lyrics, but melody really transcends lyrics. Whenever somebody really connects with a melody, it can take them from a place of darkness, maybe to a place where they don't feel so alone. And going back to what you were saying, just listening to a lot of the stuff that you're saying, like sharing, that's the main thing. Sharing and listening, but listening without judgment. Just listening, just being with that person and just letting them, unload's probably a bad term, but letting them kind of share what they're going through.
Sometimes someone doesn't know, they don't always need feedback. Like, when someone shares with you, they're not always looking for feedback. Sometimes they just want you to be quiet and listen, which is, it took me years to figure that out. When someone starts talking to me, David and I are very close, and sometimes, when he starts talking to me, he just wants me to listen. He doesn't want me to say anything back.
The event is Concert and Conversation, an evening of music and connection at the Blue Jay Listening Room. It's on the 15th, starting at 7:30. Thank you so much for being here, Gabrielle, Magid, Daniel, and David Johns. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great event.